Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm here with Cristóbal Madrid, your account executive. I'm Paula Ane, for those of you who haven't met me yet. I'm your community builder. The general idea of this webinar is to go through any specific questions you might have until now about general expenses or specific expenses or something to do with your visa process or anything you need to know and you need to clarify till the moment. The way it's going to work is that you guys can post your questions here in the live chat. We've already posted an invitation to join and to ask any questions you might have. I understand there might be a bit of a lag between what we're saying and when you receive the information. So as we wait for questions to come, I'll start telling you a bit about how your first week at Startup Chile will generally work, okay? So next week, at the beginning of next week, we will put all the agenda for your first week on the Google Calendar that is on your Suppers online site, okay? There's a landing page for you guys there where you have all the documents you need, plus all the calendars, okay? So before that, I'm still gonna anticipate you a bit on how it's gonna work. On Monday, we will be receiving you as a whole generation, and we will be introducing you to what is Startup Chile, how Startup Chile works, and who's the staff, and what does everybody at the staff kind of do. And then we have some activities for you guys to get to know each other and to bond within each other and to get to know your generation. For foreigners, that same day in the afternoon, we will be heading to PDI in order to register your visa and to start the landing process for you guys, foreigners, to be able to join the program and sign your contract as soon as possible. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we will have several workshops in order for you to understand the program in all of its specifics. Startup Chile is a fantastic accelerator. It is a public accelerator, which is very unique. But because it is public, we have to abide to government regulations, which can be very detailed and which require paperwork. So it's very important for you guys to be there, to be at your best, to be at your brightest, and to do any question you might have, same as now, just so you can go through the whole program as smoothly as possible. And then Thursday and Friday, we'll be getting a route number for you guys, which is a Chilean kind of security number, I guess. It's an ID card with a number that will be specific for you to use in any paperwork you need to do in the future. And we will also give you option for foreigners and Chileans as well to open either a company bank account or a natural person bank account. If you applied as a natural person, then you must, and you're not incorporated in Chile, you must open a a natural person bank account. And if you applied as a company and you don't have a bank account yet, you can open a bank account with us, with the support of us. Okay, so Juraj, hey, nice to see you again, Juraj. Juraj was part of TSF5 cohort with Barbara. And he's wondering, how long is this program? I thought it's 6 months, but lately I've heard it has changed to 7. Is it true? Can I just briefly jump in before you answer properly? Okay, Juraj, so there was a handbook that was sent out to you, I think 3 weeks ago, right? And there, all of these kind of specific questions are answered. I'm gonna let Cristóbal answer to you how long the program will be, but please make sure to always check the documents we send over.
Yeah, obviously, and also we recommend to read the terms and conditions because all this information is very detailed there, okay? Yes, what you're saying is true. Now the projects have a period of 9 months of maximum. So we give you the alternative to have 7 or 9 months. You have to choose between those two periods, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes, also another difference between things you need to choose from is if you either choose to be paid upfront or if you choose to be reimbursed. Could you explain to these guys like more in detail how those work?
Yeah, well, the first process or the first payment method is upfront. In that case, you have to pay for an insurance policy, first of all, that has a cost approximately of $500. Okay, you can include that cost in your budget for the program, so it's not a problem. And in that case, you are going to receive an upfront payment, obviously, two upfront payments in this case of 10 millions. Okay, we have to confirm that information, but that should be the process in your generation. Okay, and in the reimbursement process, you have to use your personal funds, and then we return that money that you have used. Obviously, all these expenses must be included in your budget according to your objectives, to your milestones, and we have to evaluate that before we give all the official approvals for those expenses. Okay.
Great. And if they do choose the upfront, they need to necessarily get an insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much does that insurance cost?
Approximately $500.
Perfect.
Okay.
Great. So we don't have any other questions, but another common question that we get in these webinars is, what kind of expenses can they make right now?
Mm-hmm. In this moment, you're able to present your plane tickets, your visa cost, and health insurance or travel insurance, all the expenses that are related to your arrival to Chile, okay? Any other expense, like, for example, to pay to an employee or to an outsourcing or to buy a laptop, for example, must be evaluated after the milestone meeting or the objectives meeting, if we can put it that way, okay?
Fantastic. So there is like the possibility to make anticipated expenses, right? That are very important right now, maybe for them, but before they make those expenses, they must go through it with you, right?
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Or else you might not get reimbursed. Okay, so be very careful with that. Just try to write Cristóbal. Actually, we were talking with Chris right before the webinar that he just loves emails, and he's been receiving not as many from this generation. So which could be very good because it means you're very informed, but maybe you guys have some questions and are a bit shy to make them. Just shoot them. We're here to answer any questions you might have, or always just write Cristóbal if you need anything like further. So Adriel Araujo wants to know if they need to register their company to make a work contract to them, or what do we recommend?
Well, first of all, remember that according to the terms and conditions, in this generation, you have to choose to present your salary or the housing costs here in Chile, okay? So if you are planning to present your salary, the salary of the team members, the team that you have applied with, you must have a Chilean company. So you have to register the company, okay? If you're not planning to do that, you're planning to present your housing costs, it's not necessary to incorporate here in Chile, okay? If you're planning to hire people here in Chile, to have employees here in Chile, obviously it's better to have a company, okay? Anyway, you have both alternatives, okay? And you can do it, you can make the contracts as a natural person, as an individual, or as a company. You have both alternatives. It's basically the same. But if you're planning to start working here in Chile as a company, it's better to start now and to issue those contracts as a company, okay?
Fantastic. So as I understand, you can either opt to pay the rental for housing if you're not incorporated in Chile, or you can choose to incorporate if you need to be incorporated in Chile in order to pay salaries for yourself or for team members, correct? Mm-hmm. What happens if you come here as a natural person and in the way you get incorporated?
Well, in that case, you have to present some documents to us, some legal documents that we are going to detail if you are evaluating that possibility. And in that case, you can start presenting expenses as a company as soon as Corfo approves that company, okay? Not before that, okay? After the approval, you can start presenting expenses as a company. So, if you have applied, the foreign people is in this situation. If you have applied as an individual, you should start the process of incorporating a company as soon as you arrive to Chile, okay? We have perks, we have enough contacts so you can evaluate and quote, for example, the services of a lawyer to start this process, okay?
Fantastic. So yeah, for those of you who are wondering, we do not make the process for you if you want to incorporate in Chile, but we do guide you through it. We have documents and information and experience on this. So just go through that further down the line. Rhino, thank you for joining us in this webinar. I understand your webinar link was broken. I'm happy you could meet us here. So to answer Rhino's question, what will sub pay for Spanish lessons at a local language school?
Can be evaluated, okay? But those cases, as I explained before, must be checked with your account executive, okay? And after the objectives meeting, okay?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, you'll have to see that with Paula Valdez, who I understand is your account executive. Mm-hmm. Another question from Rhino. How does EVA affect payments for a freelancer, both local or international?
What is EVA?
Yeah, could you further explain what EVA is? But in the meantime, if I understand, can they pay people that work outside of Chile with the money?
Yes, yes, you can pay to foreign people. Okay, you have to make sure that you must always use bank accounts that belongs to your team members. Okay, to the official team members. If you're planning to use I don't know, a bank account of a friend or a family member, for example, it's not possible. Okay, so make sure that you are always going to use a personal bank account to make those payments. That's very important.
Fantastic. So what he was actually wondering is, how does the income tax work if you pay someone outside or if you pay someone?
Okay, that's a very specific question. Okay, it's question. If you want, you can send me an email with that. But making a kind of summary, if you pay from a Chilean bank account to a foreign professional for foreign services, you have to evaluate if you have to pay a tax. Okay, not all the countries have to pay a tax here in Chile. You have to evaluate that with the SII, that is the tax office here in Chile. Okay, we can guide you with that also. But anyway, are very specific cases. So if you have a specific case, you have to check with your account executive. Okay.
Thank you, Cristóbal. So Martu has a question. We'll be driving to Chile instead of taking a plane. We are going from Uruguay. Could we get travel expenses refunded, such as gas and tolls?
Unfortunately, those expenses cannot be covered. Okay, so check very well if you want to really do that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's quite an adventure anyways, Martu, but yeah, sadly, we cannot reimburse that kind of expense. What kind of expenses can they reimburse once they arrive here? For example, if they go to the supermarket and buy food, can they reimburse that?
No, they can't. That's why you have your salary, okay? The expenses that can be covered, for example, are all those related to the development of the project, okay? Salaries for employees, the payment for outsourcing, for developers, for example, for designers. Also, if you need to buy an acquisition as a laptop, a cell phone, or something like that, can be evaluated, software expenses, etc., etc. Okay? If you need to make a business travel, for example, also we can evaluate that. Okay, guys, but it's very, very important to have a budget. Okay, so it's good to start thinking of how are you planning to use the money from Startup Chile. Okay, because in the first meeting we are going to evaluate the first expenses that you have and the plan of activities that you have for the future. Okay, but for example, if you need to buy food, as Paula says, or you need to pay for a taxi or a bus or metro, entertainment, all those things, we cannot cover those expenses. Okay, the salary is for all the expenses that you need to make that cannot be covered officially by the program. Okay,
great. And if they use the money for housing, what do those 700 Chilean pesos cover? Does it only cover rent, or does it cover gastos comunes, which is like building expenses?
Okay, if you're planning to present your salary, if that is your decision, you have to cover everything. Your rent, you have to expenses, all the expenses related to the housing cost, as the word says, must be included in your salary. Okay, you can't present separately your common expenses or the water bills or electricity bills, for example. Okay,
great. So Martu has another question regarding the visa. They didn't accept credit cards at the consulate, so they had to pay everything in cash. Will there be a problem with that?
No, will be no problem. Okay, make sure that you can have a kind of proof of the deposit or something from the consulate that can prove that you have made the payment in cash. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Great. So another general question we get a lot, Chris, is that so people come here and arrive February 5th. Mm-hmm. How does the timing go, for example, to signing the contract, and how long do they have to wait until they get their first payment after signing the contract?
Okay, first of all, remember that the foreign people don't have a root number here in Chile, okay? So that's a very, very important information. Why? Because you are going to sign a document, a contract with Corfo as soon as you arrive to Chile on the first weeks. And after that, we have to issue a document called resolution, okay? That is like the second step of the contract. And in that document, you must have your root number, okay? So on the first week, you are going to have like groups to go to the Registro Civil to have your root number, okay? You have to attend to that kind of meeting, I don't know, to that visit, okay? Make sure to go to that meeting, okay? and to have your root number. The timeline is that you have the contract, then you have the resolution, and then you're going to receive a notification letter from Corfo, okay? From that moment, the project officially exists for Corfo. So we start counting the 7 months or 9 months of your project, okay? And after that, you can receive the money from Startup Chile or from Corfo, okay? That's also very important. How much time takes that? Approximately 1.5 months, okay, from your arrival, okay? So make sure that you can have enough money or have in your mind that idea, okay? So you can receive the money and be very careful with your expenses.
Great. I'm just gonna tap into a bit more what you were saying, Chris. So basically, from the signing of the contract, which could take a week or two, since they get the root number, right? It should be 1.5 months or 2 months until they actually get the first payment. So come with enough money so you can live here without having any problems, that you can cost your housing expenses, your living expenses, the development of your project. So prepare for that, okay? We don't want anybody to be in an uncomfortable situation because of money. The reason why this all works is because Startup Chile is an awesome accelerator, and it's also a public accelerator, which makes it more unique. But that means that we are a government, right? So we have to abide to government regulations, and government regulations tend to be very detailed, okay? So they're thorough. That's the reason why it takes a bit longer. So thank you for understanding as of now. So Fabiola is joining us here as well. Nice to see you again, Fabiola. She just wanted to double check that if she's alone in Chile for the most of the time, but they applied for 2 people. So it's her and her team member. Which is the right accommodation budget? 5,000 or 7,000?
Okay.
700,000, sorry.
You have to consider 700,000, okay? Why is that? Because during the development of the project, you can, I know, maybe your team members will arrive during that process. So you can include that money. It's not a problem for that, okay? And we always have to consider how much people is included in your contract, okay? Not more than that. So great. Yeah, you can present 700K.
Yeah, awesome. Juan Martin has a question. The cost of incorporating the company can be reimbursed. Can you specify how?
Yes, can be reimbursed, okay? Here in Chile, the costs are basically notary fees and the cost of the lawyers if you hire one, because you have a process called Empresa Non Día. When you arrive to Chile, maybe you are going to know more about that. And but you can include those costs. Which documents you have to present? In the notary, you're going to receive a kind of invoice. Here in Chile, we call boleta. And from the lawyer, you also are going to receive a document called invoice or boleta, okay? So you have to present those 2 documents and the bank statements or the payment method that you have used to pay them, okay? But yeah, those are the 2 documents that you have to present.
Fantastic. Since we don't have any more questions, I invite you guys to do the last questions you might have. We have 2 or 3 minutes. We can wait for that to happen. In the meantime, I wanted to tell you a bit about how the co-works will work, because as you know, one of the things we promise you as part of Generation 19 is a co-work space for your team leader and your team members, right? But some of you also have a team. You have employees. You're free to come with your team as long as there's no more than 5 people, including yourselves and your team members, in each team. The reason we put a limitation to the slots is because co-works can be a bit packed sometimes, and we don't want any team to be left without a seat. Okay, there are 2 co-works that we have. One is in Providencia and the other one is in Santiago Centro. You can read more about location in the Suppers Online site, but you can go to these co-works as you wish. You don't have to choose between any of them. You can go one day to one, the next day to the next, or even in the same day, go to one and then the next. But there's an important thing to mention that most activities from Startup Chile happen at these Santiago Centro Monjitas co-work, okay? So if you're looking for accommodation, maybe it's a good place to be close to the Monjitas co-work or the Providencia co-work if that's the one of your choice, okay? Martu has another question. We are planning on using Stripe, for which we have to open a C Corp in USA. They do that for them. Could those costs be reimbursed?
Yeah, we can evaluate those costs, okay? Anyway, we need more details of why you need to make those expenses, but yeah, can be evaluated.
Fantastic. How does the reimbursement for perks work, Cristóbal?
For perks, as all the expenses that you are planning to present, okay? The financial process is basically about invoices and bank statements, okay? When you have the financial process, all the expenses that you present in the financial process were technically pre-approved. What I mean with this, that the account executive check those expenses according to your objectives, okay? If you have the approval from the account executive, you can just starting to make the expenses, okay? And what you have to say, invoices and bank statements, okay, according to your payments. For some specific cases, we are going to ask for special forms, for example, for the business troubles, or if you need to buy a laptop, okay, to have more information of why you need to make those expenses. But are very simple documents and are to avoid a list of emails or conversations that also takes a lot of time. So that's a better way to make this easier for you.
Great. There's another very important aspect about Startup Chile, and it's your financial meetings. You'll be having a couple of them during the program. They are pre-established. The financial executives have work with a lot of startups, so they program their meetings with enough time for you to be able to get here. It's important for you to understand that if you can't make it to a pre-established and pre-accorded meeting, it might take a bit longer to get that meeting rescheduled. It's not from one day to the next, maybe not even from 1 week to the next. So please keep that in mind and plan accordingly so you don't have any troubles and you come to your financial meetings in time. I don't know, Cristóbal, if you have any further message you would like your batch your project to understand right now.
Okay, as I explained in the beginning with Jurak, it's very important for me to know how much time you're planning to use with your startup here, okay? So if you're planning to stay for 7 months or 9 months, okay? Remember that the period that you choose is the period that you're going to stay here in Chile, okay? So if you're planning to put the 9 months, you have to stay here in Chile for 9 months or 10 months, considering the 1 additional month to make all the process here with the contracts, the policies, and all those things, okay? But as soon as you have the decision, please make sure to let me know, okay? Anyway, I will send you an email with all this information and you have to send me the feedback. Also, according to the payment method, I will send you an email anyway with the explanation, the brief explanation for each case, okay? But you have to choose the upfront payment and the reimbursement process. The main difference is that in the reimbursement process, you have to use your personal funds and you have to wait for the reimbursements from Corfo. And in the upfront payment, you are going to receive two payments from Corfo, okay? And you have to pay for an insurance policy, okay? Some people ask if the expenses to arrive to Chile, like the plane tickets or the visa costs, can be reimbursed even if you have choose the upfront payment. No, in that case, you have to include those costs from your upfront payment, and you have to just like pay back the money that you have already used, okay? But we are not going to reimburse those expenses and evaluate on other additionals, okay? Those are the details that I need from your startup in this week or the next week, okay? As I told you, I will send you an email with the complete information, but it's important to understand or to know if you have questions about these topics, okay? Also, other thing that is very important is that we are going to have an initial meeting where you are going to send me or you are going to show me your plan of activities for the program, okay? Guys, before that, I cannot give you any official approval for your expenses, okay? Because I need to understand what are you planning to do here in Chile. Why we can evaluate or we can pre-approve the plane tickets or the visa costs or the health insurance is because we need to know that you are going to be here. You have to be here. So that's why we just can pre-approve those expenses. But any other costs, we have to evaluate it here after that meeting. That is very, very important, okay? Also, I will send you a template of a document with the objectives and the budget that you have to fill so we can make the comparison with all that information, okay?
Fantastic. So we have a question from Juan Martin. Which kind of activities will you check, for example?
For example, if you are planning to develop, I know, the second stage of your platform, okay? What are you planning to do that objective? Or if you're planning to increase the number of users of your platform, how much users you want to have until June, until July, for example, or until May, the deadlines that you have to have that development, or if you want to change the design of your web page or your platform, also of the application, for example. How much time are you planning to do now, or all those things? But the activities that you have or you are planning to, I don't know, to make here in Startup Chile, okay?
Fantastic. So just to wrap up the webinar, what things should you have already done by now? Okay, so on visa terms, if you're a foreigner and need a visa, you should have filled in the form for the visa. The deadline for that is far gone. You should have received your invitation letter. That's both for foreigners and Chileans. You should have already made an appointment, filled in the online form for the visa, and made an appointment with your consulate. Have already been to the consulate. Some still have the appointment pending, but by now you should already be in that stage of the process, or you might already have your visa stamped in your passport, okay? Make sure that all the details of your visa, the name and the birth date, all of that is correct, or else it will be a problem once you get here and register your visa with international police, okay? So another thing that should already have happened, you have clarity on which expenses you can make. Cristóbal already mentioned which those can be. It's basically flight, travel expenses, visa expenses, and maybe some travel insurance, which is not mandatory, but very well suggested for you to hire, okay? Other than that, you can always email Cristóbal. He's very, very happy to receive your emails. He does receive a lot of emails from many current generations and also from you guys. So we appreciate your patience in his response. He will get back to you. If it's something very urgent, just put urgent in your subject. And you can also make any questions through the admissions email directly to me. So thank you guys for joining us today. Looking forward to meeting you on February 5th. Remember, the team leader must be here by that date. And I think that's it, right, Cristóbal?
Yeah, that's it, okay? Remember that if you have any question, please email me. I can answer all your questions. Sometimes take some time to have all the doubts answered, but please let me know. I prefer to answer all now than in 2 or 3 months. Okay?
Exactly. Great. Thank you, Cristóbal, and thank you, everyone. Meet you soon, okay? Bye.
Bye-bye.